All right. We are going to do an exam. And the name of the exam is this is exam number 3. So from the Udemy exams. We're going to do the exam today. I'm going to use some help from the PDF document and GTP chat in case I get some of the new questions related to artificial intelligence. So I probably use some help from GTP chat as well. So let's start with the exam. First question is, what OSPF network type is assigned to a serial interface by default? The correct answer will be point-to-point. Next one, what are default syslog settings on a Cisco switch? Okay, let me go for now with the sequence number and with the encrypted option. I'm going to look this one in the PDF file just to double check. I'm not 100% sure about this. What is this? Let me just answer this survey. It's a survey from Udemy from some of the exams. Okay, let's go ahead and do with Control F. Let's look for that one. Is the UDP transport. So I have to change one of the options. And the only adds uptime messages. So I got everything incorrect. So let's go with the correct answers here. The first one is syslog messages are sent via UDP transport. Okay, let's look for that one. And the second option is syslog only adds uptime to messages. So let's analyze the question and read it again. What are default system settings on a Cisco switch? Number one, the syslog only adds uptime to messages. Number two, the syslog messages are sent via UDP transport. Okay, next one. How do you enable LLDP globally and disable it per interface? So I know the LLDP run is one of the commands and the LLDP enable, but we need to disable it. So let me see if I think the no LLDP receive is the other one. And we actually have to select 3 options. So LLDP enable, LLDP run, and no LLDP receive. I think those are the ones that we need to select, the correct options. We are going to validate, and we have LLDP run, no LLDP transmit, so I don't really got that one, and no LLDP receive. So I got one incorrect. LLDP run, we don't have to do that. We have to do no LLDP transmit and no LLDP receive. After running those 2 commands, we are disabling the LLDP in the interface, per interface. And when we want to enable the LLDP globally, we will use the LLDP enable command. So that's basically it. Let's continue with the exam. What is the purpose of a native VLAN? For me, forward tag frames only. That's what I think is the correct option. We are going to validate that one to see if I am correct or not. Forward management frames on tag, so I'm behind the tree. The correct option is actually forward management frames on tag. That is the correct choice for that one. What iOS command enables NTP server mode on an internet router? Okay, according to what I remember, it was the stratum command. Let's validate this one. It's a little bit tricky. It's either the master option or the stratum. Let's go with the master option for now. So we're going to do the following. We're going to validate this option as well to see if we are selecting the best option or we are behind the tree. Let me just copy the question and look for that. The NTP master is correct, so that was the correct option. So at the end, we choose the correct choice. So it's basically that one, the NTP master. Let me just go back. This is different than the Cisco exam because the real exam you cannot go back in the questions. So be careful about that in the actual exam. Once you answer a question, that's it. You can never go back. Next question. What is the only extended ACL that permits access to the web-based applications on a web server? Now, we just configured a lab previously about this, so hopefully we will be able to get this one right. For me, it looks like TCP. It was either C or D. You can see these options, they all look alike. I am going for now. We're talking about web-based application in a server. I'm going with C for now, but let's validate this one just in case. And let's look at the explanation. So the option is the one that has the 80. And the correct option is actually this one. Let me see if I selected the correct one or not. Let me go back to the exam. Okay, Control F. So I selected the correct choice. Let's see if we can see the explanation. So these were the incorrect options. Incorrect because HTTP is not valid there. Okay, permit OT9 is incorrect because, let me see why the other one was incorrect. So these two are incorrect because it is not allowed. The web and the HTTP is not allowed. But let's compare those. Where are those different in any way? I see they're pretty much similar. Oh, because one says IP and the other one says TCP. And the one that we selected, the one that should be TCP instead of IP. So that is the main reason because it was incorrect. We selected the TCP. What are two data sources associated with predictive AI? I'm going with real-time telemetry and historical logs. Let me see if this option is available in the exam, or we might have to do some research with artificial intelligence there with GTP chat. So it's actually there. Historical logs and real-time telemetry. Let's analyze this question. It's probably one of the questions coming up in the new exam after the middle of August. What are two data sources associated with predictive AI? That is real-time telemetry and historical logs. Next. What cannot be configured on a layer 2 port channel? Looks like I don't really know this one. Let me look for that one. Let's go ahead and do some research on this one. It's very theoretical. Port security is one of those. And the other one is CDP. So port security and CDP. Let's go there, CDP and port security. Let me just reload the page because it got stuck somehow. CDP and port security. So when we're working with port channels, layer 2 port channels, two of the features that we cannot configure are port security and CDP. Be aware of that. Next question. Let me minimize my screen for now. What route is selected in the routing table when multiple routes exist from the same routing protocol to the same destination? I'm going with longest prefix match, but I'm going to validate this one just in case. Is the route with the lowest metric, so I got it incorrect. I need to correct that one. The route with the lowest metric will be the correct choice. The route with the lowest metric. Let's go ahead and take a look at the explanation on this one. So let's go ahead and do a drawing here. Let me just use the eraser for a moment. This is the explanation. So let's try to analyze it as best as we can. So let's highlight it first. Hopefully I will be able to do it. Maybe it is protected or something because I cannot highlight it. I'm trying to, but it's not allowing me to highlight it. That's strange. Okay, let's just ignore it for now and let's try to understand it as best as possible. The administrative distance assigned to a route will determine what route is installed in the routing table. Metric is a path cost assigned to a specific route. The route with the lowest metric is installed in the routing table when multiple routes exist from the same routing protocol to the same destination. So there you have it. Let me see if maybe I do a reload to see if I can do some highlight. Okay, now I can highlight it. Nice. Finally, it finally worked. Let me just select this one. And let me do a little mark over there. Okay. So it's basically theory. They are talking about the route with the lowest metric is installed in the routing table when multiple routes exist from the same routing protocol to the same destination. So it's basically theory that we have here. Theory and practice, because we have to know this when we are doing a topology or resolving a problem. And especially these kind of questions. Let's go with the next question and let's retake the exam. What IPv6 addressing method is the most similar to IPv4? So that will be a Slack, if I'm not mistaken, or a stateful DHCP v6, IPv6 addressing method. I am a little bit confused about this one. Let's go ahead and do some research. Let me go ahead and validate this one. I'm going to refresh the screen for a little bit and look for the answer on this one. So it is a stateful DHCP v6. I was between one of those. I was like trying to select one of those, and I was a little bit confused between stateful and Slack, but it's actually stateful DHCP v6, the one that is comparing and is similar to IPv4 to DHCP v4. When we are talking about DHCP v4 and we want to compare that to IPv6 addressing method, we will be talking about the stateful DHCP v6. Okay, what about this one? It says there's a router interface assigned to IP address 192.168.12.1/29. What iOS command would enable that interface to only advertise 192.168.12.0/29 prefix to the OSPF neighbor in area 0? That will be, if I'm not mistaken, C. But remember, we need to have the wildcard mask assigned, so it's not actually C. It will be probably B. B will be the right answer for this one. Let's go ahead and validate that one real quick. So it will be 192.168.12.0 0007 area 0. That will be the correct answer. Let me see if I got the right one here. Let me just check. I got the incorrect one. I have to correct it. The correct choice will be router OSPF1 network 192.168.12.0 0007 area 0. That will be the correct choice. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Okay, looks like I have the sound back. So let's look at the explanation on this one so we can have it more clearly explained here. Let's read the explanation there. There is a little bit long than we expect. Let me just erase it for now. So let me just have highlight it there. Let's start doing the explanation here. Okay, OSPF is a classless routing protocol, and wildcard masks are required to define the subnets. We're talking about this specific subnet is 192.168.12.0/29. Now, let's try to understand why the correct choice will be the 007 area 0. Okay, so we need, in order to configure this, we need the wildcard mask /29. So let me go ahead and use our subnetting table real quick. Subnetting table. Okay. And let's look for /29 there. /29 is 255.255.258. Let's use the calculator to do the subtraction. So if we do a subtraction, 255 minus 248, we are getting 7. And that means the correct mask for this will be 0007. That is the main reason, because when we are configuring OSPF with this network and this specific mask, this is the correct command. Router OSPF1, network 192.168.12.0/0007, area 0. And the other ones will be incorrect. This one advertises from multiple interfaces. This one advertises to any of those interfaces. But the main reason because they are incorrect is because of the subnet mask. And this one, the wildcard mask, would advertise on all interfaces that have an IP address related to this. So all of those other options are incorrect. The only one, according to our principles and the research that we have completed at this moment, doing this calculation is actually the one that we are selecting now, the 0007 wildcard mask. So that is the correct choice. Let's return to the exam. And we want to continue here. How are OSPF routing updates sent from spoke routers to the DR and BDR routers? This is actually a tricky one. If I'm not mistaken, it's one of those, but I think it's 224.0.0.5. Let's go ahead and validate this question because it's one of those tricky ones. It should be one of those, either the 006 or the 005. And the one that says DR and BDR routers, sending the updates there for multicast. But since it's so tricky, I want to validate that one. The 006 is the correct choice. So we need to correct it probably. 006. Let's validate it. It says to all DR and VDR routers. Yeah, the multicast. So the correct choice is that one. Let's analyze the question and read it again. How are OSPF routing updates sent from spoke routers to DR VDR routers? It sends the routing updates via multicast address 224.0.0.6 to DR and VDR routers. And that happens mainly because this other one will send it only to the DR, if I'm not mistaken. Let's validate that. Okay, this one it sends the routing updates to the 224.0.0.6 to the DR and BDR. And all OSPF routes establish neighbor adjacency with hello packets using the multicast address of 224.0.0.5. This one will be working along with the DR. The spoke routers also listen the routing updates from the DR. So the main reason is that this one is with the DR and BDR, sending the multicast routing updates, but this one sends all OSPF router established neighbor adjacency. This one says the hello packets using the multicast. So this one is more related to hello packets using this multicast address. Let's continue with the exam. We need to take it again from there. Okay, we should be all good. Let's move forward. What are the advantages of power over Ethernet? Okay, I'm thinking about maybe performance could be cost effective. I will check this one because it's tricky as well. I will do a refresh in the page and let's do the Control F here to find this option. So it's basically related to extended wireless network and cost effective. We might need to correct that one. So let's go there and let's be patient. It's taking quite some time. Let's be patient as much as we can. So the cost effective and the extended wireless network. Extended wireless network are cost effective. Okay. Let's go with the question and let's try to analyze it. The question states like this. What are advantages of power over Ethernet, cost-effective, and extended wireless network? What are two examples of security exploits? Email phishing, and then we have this spoofing, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to double check on those, but I am 99% sure that those are correct. Email phishing and spoofing, yeah, we are good. We are good. What per hop behavior PHP is used to differentiate traffic pairs? I'm thinking this might be marking, but I am only 92% sure. Let's go ahead and validate that one. It's actually classification. So when we are working along with these questions, we have to make sure about classification for the per hop behavior PHP, and that is used to differentiate traffic pairs. Let's see if we can see the classification there in the explanation. The proposed classification per hop behavior is to examine and select differentiate traffic based on some matching criteria. It is a method for identifying and grouping traffic to apply some QoS action. Some common examples of classification. Okay, something happened there. I think I lost the connection, so I might have to check the recording later to see if we were losing anything. I have some problems with the internet connectivity. I lost it for a couple of seconds, but we should be good now. Okay, let's continue with the exam. What primary service does a layer 2 access switch provide? That would be frame forwarding. Next. It's only one choice, yeah. Okay, this one is a little bit tricky. I know the question might be related to HSRP. Let me just do my best guess for now. Support the virtual private address and the highest loopback. I'm going to look for the answer on this one. The answers are the highest loopback interface is incorrect, so that one we need to remove it. It's actually joins groups with the higher interfaces and elects the physical interface when priorities are equal. So I got everything incorrect here. We need to remove those. The correct answers are this one and this one. The first correct option is that when we're working along with the HSRP election and when the router priorities are equal and preemption is enabled, the first thing we have is that the standby router that joins groups with higher interface IP address will preempt active router. And the second thing that happens here is that the HSRP elects the router with the highest physical interface IP address when priorities are equal. Okay, how is a failover backup path configured for a static route? This is actually not the lower administrative distance. We configure a little bit higher administrative distance, but I don't see the option here. The backup for the static route. I'm going to select lower for now, but let's validate this question because it's very tricky. The floating static route. Okay, so it's actually a little bit different. We are configuring the higher administrative distance. So in this case, we have to do it with a floating static route. So that's a tricky question, but that's basically it. When we are configuring the floating static route, we are using a higher administrative distance than per se if we have a routing protocol, like RIP, for example, 120. We configure 121. What happens when a root guard enabled switch port receives a superior BPDU from the downstream neighbor switch? Okay, that's a great question. I am going to look this one up. I don't really know it, to be honest. Let's look for that one. So the superior BPDU messages are received on the root bridge designated ports. That is one of the options. Let's look for that. The superior BPDU message are received on the root port. Let's validate that. It's root port. It's actually root bridge designated port. So this one is actually the root bridge designated port. That is one of the right answers. And the other one is the superior BPDU messages are received on the root port. On the root port. Let's go ahead and try to select that one as well. So it's actually the two that says superior BPDU. Some of the messages are received on the root bridge designated port, and the other messages are received on the root port. Select an option that is not an HTTP verb from the following. I think this one is updated, if I'm not mistaken. Should be. It's actually updated, yes. These questions are so tricky. Let's take a look at the explanation. We can see get, post, put, and delete. Those are the options where we are working along with the HTTP verb. What route is installed in the routing table when 200.1.0/29 is advertised from the following sources? I don't really know this one. I think probably the default route will be the correct option. I'm not sure. It's the EIGRP route. This includes the dynamic routing protocols and the default route. The route installed in the routing table, however, is EIGRP with administrative distance of 90. The default route is already in the routing table. So now we will be working along with the protocols. The one with the lowest administrative distance is EIGRP. Okay. Let's continue. How is VLAN membership of a frame learned for 802.1q tagging before forwarding across a trunk? It's probably, it learns the membership of the frame from the VLAN that I will validate this one, but I am 95% is correct. 95% sure this one is correct. Maybe I got it. No, actually I got it wrong. It's incorrect. The switch does MAC address table lookup for the VLAN membership. So I was in the incorrect choice. The switch does a MAC address table lookup when frames are arrived at the trunk interface to tag the VLAN membership. MAC address table includes the MAC address, connected port, and the VLAN assigned. So it's actually something different. Let's analyze it a little bit better there. So it's actually this one. He actually go ahead and look in the MAC address table to know where the port and the VLAN are located in order to send the traffic there. That's the way it works with switches. What are two examples of biometric authentication methods? Voice recognition and fingerprint. I will check those just in case. I want to be 100% sure, but I am 91% sure at this moment. It's the fingerprint and the voice recognition. Yeah. Next. Okay, what extended ACL will permit SSH traffic from 192 and 168.1.1 to any network? To any network. Seems like this one might be correct, but we want to double check there. What it will allow to have the SSH to any network. I am between B and C. I am selecting between those choices. Let's validate this one. It's actually the one that doesn't have the host. So I previously selected that in another exam, but now maybe because I've been doing some labs and stuff, I am more knowledge. I have more knowledge in order to have a better idea and understanding on what could be the right choice for this one. So remember, labs are the key. Let's validate that. It's actually 1.1. Any equal SSH permit TCP. Yeah, pretty much we selected the correct option there. Why should you apply an standard ACL near the destination? I think it's to prevent excessive filtering. We are going to validate this one just in case. It's also a little bit tricky. Let's go ahead and copy this and stop the exam for a few seconds. We need to validate this is prevent excessive filtering. Yeah, in fact, we might be good with that one. Yeah, we are good. Next. How does EIGRP calculate the metric by default on a forwarding path? Cumulatively late, minimum bandwidth. I think this is the right one. I will check just in case, but I am 90% sure we are good. Cumulative delay and minimum bandwidth on the forwarding path. Let's validate that. Forwarding path. Forwarding path. Yeah, we're good. What accurately describes TTL operation? So the default value of the TTL count in the IP header is 255 and OSPF does not support it. Let's validate this one. Seems to be a little bit tricky too. Let's go ahead and delete this and copy and paste the question to see if we can find it there somewhere. So this is actually correct. Apparently, OSPF does not support it, or is not. No, it's actually incorrect. The correct options here are actually the 255 in the header and it mitigates routing loops as the packet is dropped after the TTL value decrements to 0. So I got the incorrect choices there. I need to correct that. This is not correct. This is the correct one. It mitigates the routing loops as packet is dropped after TTL value decrement to 0. The default value from the TTL count in the IP header is equal to 255. This is actually 60 seconds. How often does the CDP send advertisement to the neighbors by default? As far as I remember, it's 60 seconds. What iOS command display the OSPF reference bandwidth? I don't remember this one. Should IP interface for me? Looks like that might be the right choice. I'm going to pause the exam so I can double check on this. So it's IP protocols. I was close, but not enough. Let's analyze this question again. So it's IP protocols. What iOS command displays OSPF reference bandwidth? Show space IP space protocols. How does SNMP v2 authenticate messages between network devices and NMS? If I'm not mistaken, this one is community strings. I will validate that one with the Control F. This is community strings. We're good. The only tedious thing is that I keep checking the exam over and over again to return to the exam. So the VLANs that we cannot delete at 1 and 1002 and 1005, those are the ones as far as I remember. How many broadcast domains are created with 10 VLANs and 40 switch ports? It's actually 40 broadcast domain, but we are going to validate this one. It's actually 10. So I chose the incorrect choice. 10 VLANs and 10 broadcast domains. VLANs create a broadcast domain that is defined by assigning a switch port to the same VLAN. So each of the VLANs is representing a broadcast domain in this example and scenario. Let's continue with the next options there. Next question. What statement correctly describes a virtualized service? Okay, the containers that not requires a hypervisor. Let me go ahead and erase everything here. I want to do a Control F there. Containers does not require a hypervisor. Okay, next. What is required for OSPF router ID configuration? As far as I remember, a unique routing domain. I will check this one and validate it, but I am 98% sure we are good with this one. The routing domain must be unique in the router ID. Okay. What are the default PoE settings for a Cisco switch? I don't really remember this one. I'm going to validate that one. So it's maximum power and power inline auto. Maximum, we are good. What cloud service model allows the maximum customization of tenant infrastructure? I'm not sure about this one either. This is mainly related to the new topics of automation. So this IaaS, infrastructure as a service, infrastructure as a service, that is in the network fundamentals option. There are a variety of different cloud services, and this one, the infrastructure as a service, is commonly selected when tenants want maximum customization similar to on-premises design. Okay, what correctly describes the default settings for app table timer and MAC address table agent timer? Not really sure about this one. I'm going to select any of the choice and validate that one. Agent ARP agent timer is higher than the Mac agent timer. I got it correctly, but I was just guessing. ARP agent timer is higher than the Mac agent timer. Okay, what subnet mask would allow you to create 60 subnets for connecting 60 branch office routers to a data center? Let's do the map here with the subnetting table. So let me copy this. Or let me just open the location on this one. I'm going to copy this in our guides there so you can have it there. I will share this one with you guys at some point. So how many hosts do we need in this question? Let's go ahead and validate. And they were about 60 hosts. We need 255.255.255.192/26. Let's validate that. The subnet mask that allow to create 60 subnets. 60 subnets. Okay, 60 subnets. That's a great question. We need 60 subnets. For me, I need to go to find the other one. Let me just look for the other one. Subnetting. Subnetting handler. Is it handler? Let me go ahead and try to figure out this one because it's a tricky one. The handout. This is what we need. I'm going to share this one with you guys. So we need, it doesn't really say. I'm just going to look for the answer and find the explanation. But I will share these documents with you guys later. Okay, I'm just going to guess with the /30 for now and look for the explanation on this one. We need to understand subnetting fully to get this kind of questions. It's actually /30, I got it correctly. Probably I remember it was that one at some point because we are configuring 64 subnets with this mask. And basically these are the subnets. The amount of subnets that we get are 64 with 255.255.255.252. With 248, we get 32. With 240, we get 16, and so on. So we only get one subnet with 255.255.0/24 MAC address. Mask, the /24 mask. Let me return to the exam so we can move forward. What are UDP-based applications? I remember DFTP is one of those. And DHCP might be the other one. I will validate this question. It's actually DHCP and TFTP next. What is the syslog default facility level? If I'm not mistaken, it's informational. I will validate this one as well. It's local 7, so I'm behind the tree, behind the patches. So local 7 is the correct one. You can see the explanation there. The local 7 is the default one for the messages in the login facility. Okay. Let's move so we can end this exam one day. This is actually the 150. How is the IP address of a TFTP server communicated to Cisco IP phones? We use the DHCP option 150. What is recommended as part of security awareness training? A clean desk policy and virus software update, if I'm not mistaken. I will double check on this one. Social media policy and clean desk policy. So I'm behind the tree, and this one is actually social media policy and clean desk policy. What do they mean with social media policy? Clean desk, no notes in the desk, passwords or anything there. I got it now. I got it. That is the clean desk policy. What about the social media? Okay, using the same network, the same work, login and password, pitching links and sharing information. So never share your password and username with anyone. That's basically it. Next, how do you configure OSPF network type? Per interface. I will validate this one just in case, but I am 99% sure it's per interface. Next one. Let me change the color here. And let me erase that one. It doesn't allow me to erase it, so I'm just going to reload the page. Okay, let's continue with the other one. What are the common sources of RF interference in 2.4 gigahertz frequency band? I remember the microwave might be one. What about the video cameras and the cell phone? Let's validate this one. It's actually microwave oven, wireless video cameras, and Bluetooth devices. So microwave oven, wireless video cameras, and Bluetooth devices, those three. Okay, this one I know for a fact is that refer to the network topology, the drawing. What is the source MAC address and destination MAC address of packet one? The source MAC address, it will be this one always. So it's one of those, but the destination MAC address shouldn't be changes there. We need to get to router 2. So router 2 gigabit 1.1. Let's see what is that one. Is it CC, all Cs? So should be actually all these 1.1. In router 2 gigabit 1.1 is all these, so this is the correct choice as far as I know. I'm going to validate this one just in case. I think it's correct, but I want to validate it. All C's at the beginning for the source and all this, that is the right choice. So I got it incorrectly because we're talking about MAC address and destination that it doesn't really change. If we are here for gigabit 1.1 on router 1 is all C's and all this. So it's all C's and all this. This is the right one. This is a tricky one. Be careful with those questions. Next. What is the correct iOS command to enable voice VLAN on a switch port? Switch port voice VLAN 10, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to double check on this one as well. Switch port voice VLAN 10, yeah. Next. This is actually with the Cisco privilege level 15 and then the Cisco net. It's probably one of those. Let me validate this one. Let's go ahead and validate it. So is username admin privilege 15, password Cisco net without the 7 there. Username admin privilege 15, password Cisco net. We don't have to use the 7 after password. That is not necessary. What is the default messaging severity level of this log? That seems to me like notification. Let's look this one up. It's informational. So the informational level 6 severity messages and lower are enabled as default informational. Select the valid host IP address from the following options. Okay, I know for a fact this doesn't really look, this looks like the only one valid IP address. Let me check this one. That is the correct option. This one is a broadcast. This one is a valid host IP address. This is a network address, and this is a broadcast. What about the other one? This is a broadcast. This is a broadcast. So all of the rest were broadcasts. Only this was a valid choice. Let me use a pink color for now. This was the only choice available. Okay, this one. What is the prefix? What prefix is assigned to any IPv6 link local address? Okay, as far as I remember, is answer D. Yeah, we are good. No, I got it incorrectly. It's actually the answer FE80 ::/10. That will be the link local address. So my mistake. I apologize for that one. It's actually, this is the right choice. And there you can see the explanation. Next. Show IP DHCP binding is the one for this one. What iOS command displays IP address, MAC address, and least expiration of all DHCP enabled hosts? Show IP DHCP binding. What are characteristics of NTP? I'm just going to look these questions up because we don't have so much time to spend trying to break our heads. But I recommend that when you're doing these exams, you take your time and do it with all the possible time in the world. So NTP pure is a backup synchronization role. That's one of the answers. NTP is a backup synchronization role. The other one is that the software clock on the switch is synchronized with the NTP time source. The software clock. And the other one will be, is actually three choices. Logging is disabled. How does CDP code? All right. So how does CDP communicate configuration state between supported Cisco devices? In this case, what we have here, let me just see if I can activate the application for the background noises, because I'm getting a lot of background noises here, and we don't want that. So in order to complete this exam, I'm going to try to stop the recording for a moment and activate. Okay, now we can work on this. I got the background noise. We shouldn't have any noises bothering our lives at this moment. So let's finish this test. How does CDP communicate configuration state between supported Cisco devices? I don't really know, to be honest. I'm just going to guess for multicast unicast frame for now. Let me go ahead and do a Control F and validate this. Multicast MAC address is the correct choice. So multicast MAC address will be the correct choice. Let's see. I got the incorrect one. It's multicast MAC address. So in order to communicate, CDP communicate configuration state between the supported Cisco switches with the multicast MAC address. That's the way it does. Let's continue working and following along with the questions. What version of SNMP support MD5 authentication? I'm going to go with both, but I will validate this question just in case. It's actually version 3, so it's version 3. Okay, that is the CRUD acronym events. What are the CRUD acronym events? I think those are create, read, update, and delete. I am almost sure, but update is incorrect, so update doesn't really work for us. Let me validate that. Update. Remove. No, I think those are correct. Let's validate those. Let's validate those real quick. So those are create, read, update, and delete. Yeah, those are the right ones. Create, read, update, and delete. So what are the CRUD acronym events? Those are create, read, update, and delete. What is not an encapsulation method? IPsec VPN. Looks like that for me. I will validate this one. So this is 102.1q, and because GRE, VXLAN, IPsec VPN, and CapWap are actually virtualization methods that we have encapsulation methods for virtualization. So 802.1q is the one that is incorrect. It's not an encapsulation method regarding the virtualization services. We have to make that notice. When we are talking about path virtualization, we are using some encapsulation like CapWap, GRE, VXLAN, and IPsec VPN. What router is selected, designated router, DR, from the following? The one with the higher priority, it will be router 3. What message type is sent from an SNMP agent to communicate operational status? I think is the answer A, but we are going to validate this. Let me go ahead and do that. It's actually trap, so it's trap. Next one. What command will only advertise the subnet 172.16.1.0/24 to OSPF neighbors? Let's go ahead and search on this one. Is network 172.16.1.0/000.255 area 0. So let me just copy and paste it there. Of course, we cannot do this on exam day, but I'm just doing it so we can faster things. That is the correct option for advertising the subnet with OSPF neighbors. Okay, this one. What statement correctly describes the JWT authentication for REST API? I don't really know this one. I don't want to guess. I'm just going to look it up. And the correct choice is the client sends access token in authentication header of API call. Next. This one, what are the default interface command settings on a switch port for duplex speed? Speed auto. I think it's actually duplex auto, speed auto, but I'm going to double check on this one, just in case. It's actually duplex auto, speed auto, yeah. Okay, what VLAN are allowed across trunk by default? I think all VLANs. Let me validate this one, but I am 99% sure we are good here. All VLANs, yeah. What VLANs are allowed across a trunk by default? Okay, what host command when issued on a Windows client sends a DHCP request? Let's be honest. Is ipconfig release renew? We have to be careful because they will sometimes ask about Linux commands instead of Windows. ipconfig release renew. Be careful because if it says Linux, we will have another story there. What protocol is responsible for power negotiation between PoE, switchboard, and IP phone? Oh, this is actually 102.3AF. I just know it because I've seen this question before. Select the highest syslog severity level from the following options. I don't really know, to be honest. I'm just going to go for critical for now, but I'm going to validate this. Need to make sure. It's actually alerts. I was between alerts and critical, to be honest, but I didn't know at that moment. It's actually alerts. So we have the alerts. We have these options: alerts, critical, error, warnings, notifications, informationals, and debugging. And there is actually an acronym that they share. Every awesome Cisco engineer will need ice cream daily, so we can memorize those. Nice. Okay, next one. How do you extend RF cell range and coverage? We might need an antenna and a repeater. I'm guessing this one because it's kind of tricky. It's actually a repeater and antenna. Am I being incorrect here? It's actually three choices, so I'm forgetting one. Host transmit power is the one I am forgetting to add there. Now we're good. It's a repeater, an antenna, and host transmit power. Okay, refer to the exhibit. And this one, refer to the exhibit and network topology diagram or drawing. Router 1 can establish OSPF version 2. Neighbor adjacency with router 2. What is most probably the cause of the problem? According to the options, we can see the connectivity there. So sometimes the problem is with the hello mismatch between the routers, but I don't think this is the case. I'm going to select this one for now, but let me see. Configure. Let's go ahead and look for this one. I want to make sure I understand this one. The correct choice is hello timer mismatch between routers. Yeah, it's one of the possible options there. The hello timer, the timers mismatch, the area ID mismatch, the interface MTU, the network type, and the OSPF network physical interfaces. Those are the possible choices that we have. So we were good. How does OSPF DR VDR routers communicate with spoke routers? Let's look for the answer on this one because we want to hurry up with the exam to complete it as soon as possible. The first option is the DR and VDR. They send in the routing updates. Spoke routers send it both the DR and VDR routers. DR and VDR routers. So bespoke routers send the routing out to both DR and VDR routers. That's one of the answers. And the other one is the DR router sends routing updates to spoke routers. Looks like that is the right one. Yeah, very good. Next. Okay, what routing protocols codes are correct in the following routes types? Okay, it looks like this is actually inter, so this is incorrect. And this might be incorrect as well. So I think the right options are the asterisk and the D. Let me go ahead and validate this one because it's a little bit tricky. is actually not the asterisk, the L and the D. The L is the host route and the D is the EIGRP. So according to this table, those are the correct choices. The other one was not inter, it was intra, so that was incorrect. And the other one, the asterisk is not asterisk, is S and the asterisk, or just the S. So L and D will be the choices. This is incorrect, this is correct. Next one. Let me see if I'm able to continue the exam because it was kind of stuck. What is the encryption? What wireless encryption technology is associated with WPA? TKIP, I'm guessing this one because I'm not really sure if it is B or C, but I will do some research as well. It was TKIP. It was TKIP. It was fine. I think we got it. We got it. Let me minimize the screen so we can continue moving forward. What about this one? 127. What subnet mask is required to assign 127 host IP addresses? Now we can actually do the subnetting there. The subnetting table, we can do it now. We can use it. So 127 is actually /25. So it's actually this one, 255.255.255.128. Let me go ahead and validate this one just in case, but I am 99% sure we got it. Okay, well, my mistake. It's actually 255.255.255.0 is a /24 actually. Let me see why. 128, okay, because we have to subtract 2, and this one will only give us 126 host. So the next best option is /24, 255.255.255, and this one will subtract from 256, we subtract the network and the broadcast, we get 254. That is the correct choice. So it's 255.255.255.0. Let's correct it. Okay, how do we know the BDR? Which one will be selected? If they all have the same priorities. So I'm thinking we could be dealing with maybe router 3. Let's validate this one. Is actually the router 3, yeah, because it will select the second highest priority as the BDR, which is the backup designated router. Therefore, router 3 will be correct. What protocol is not UDP based? I know TFTP is. I know NTP might be. SNMP is like ICMP. I think NTP might be the right one. Let's go ahead and validate this one because it's also a tricky one. It's ICMP actually. ICMP is the correct choice because if we're talking about UDP, we have TFTP, we have SNMP, for example. So the one is the ICMP, but I don't really see it there, like in the table. I don't really see it there. I see TFTP. Let me check on this and fix it. Some of the UDPs that I see is TFTP, for example. It doesn't let me write it, so let me just reload the page. TFTP is one of those. Let me fix this. Okay, it doesn't let me write it. I will just refresh again and fix this from the beginning. So it was talking about an TCP actually. ICMP is a TCP base. For some reason, it was not even in the table, but now we know ICMP is the only one TCP because The UDP work with syslog, with TFTP, SNMP, and NTP, all of those. And this one we can only see the TFTP option and the other one. The other one for UDP is SNMP. But now we know that TCP base, we are talking about ICMP when we are working there. So we have to be careful about that one. ICMP is a network layer protocol and does not require transport layer services. The only protocol that is not UDP based is ICMP. All applications are assigned either a TCP or UDP port number. So this one actually doesn't require UDP base because it is not even there in the ports. So it's not using TCP or UDP. It's just not using that because ICMP is a network layer protocol and it does not require transport layer services. That's the reason because we didn't saw it in the table. That's a very tricky question, guys. We have to be careful about those. What about the create option? According to me, it will be the get option. Let's validate this one. It's a post actually. So the post is create, the get is read, the put is update, and the delete is delete. Let me do something real quick. We have post, get, put, and delete, and we have create, read, update, and delete. So post is create, and we need to validate that. This is create, yeah. So it will be post. I got it incorrectly there. What are two interface errors? What two interface errors are caused by collisions, runs and CRCs, as far as I remember? I'm going to validate that one as well. It's actually CRC and runs, yeah. Yeah, we're good. What is required to disable layer 2 switching and configure a route port or layer 3 port channel? Let's go ahead and validate this option. No switch port command, I think. We are going to validate that one. Yeah, no switch port command. And then we will be able to add some routing services, layer 3 services. What is the difference between packets and radius? Radius server combines authentication and authorization. As far as I remember, that is the right one. Okay, next. What characteristics of SDN architecture? Select 3. I'm just going to look it up because they're just a little bit tired and sleepy at this moment. It's a little bit late. Okay, SDN controller relays, Cisco DNA center, and SDN application request. Those are the choices. SDN controller relays information is one of those via southbound APIs to the network devices. Cisco DNA center includes the SDN controller. Cisco DNA center includes the DNR SDN controller. And the other one is SDN applications requests are sent by a northbound API. SDN applications are sent via the northbound APIs. Yeah, right. We got it. Where is loop guard enabled on a Cisco switch? I'm just going to guess this one and research. Okay. Loop guard is only enabled on the non-designated switch ports. Non-designated switch port, let's go. Deny IP any, I think is what we get, but we're going to validate that one. Permit IP any is what we get. What last statement is mandatory for an IPv4 extended access list that is comprised of all denied statements, permit IP any. What statement is correct concerning the native VLAN? I'm just going with prevents broadcast starts, but I want to validate this one because it's probably incorrect there. So this one is actually native VLAN is assigned to the trunk port only. It's assigned to the trunk port only. That is the correct one. What is the purpose of the following command? Switch port now negotiate. Disable auto negotiation on duplex. I will just guess this one. I'm just going to guess this one and look it up. So this is disable DTP request frames. Disable DTP request frames on a switch port. Disable DTP request frames on a switch port. What switch mode is assignable to a layer 2 Ether channel? Layer 2 Ether channel. I'm just going to go with this one for now. It's access mode or trunk mode. All right, let's continue moving forward. Where is root guard enabled on a Cisco switch? I think it's designated ports. Designated ports, yes. What are two differences between HSRP v1 and v2? Okay, let's just go with this one and that one for now. Is the virtual MAC address format at the IPv6 support? Okay. Select the correct statement concerning OSPF operation. Multiple OSPF process identifier can be assigned to the same network interface. And that seems correct, but the process identifier only locally significant. I think that is the right one. The C option for me is the correct one. OSPF process identifier is only locally significant. Let's go with the 87. Let's validate that one. Translate public routable IP addresses to private IP addressing. And the other one, translate private IP addressing to public IP addressing. Public to private, private to public. There you go next. What are two examples of security mitigation techniques? Awareness training is one of those. And the other one is software updates, if I'm not mistaken. Let's look it up. So software updates and awareness training. Okay, next. How is STP information communicated between switches? I think ARP, but I'm just going to look it up and refresh the page for now. It's BPDU. So in order to communicate STP information between switches, they are going to use the BPDU. STP information is advertised with BPDU frames to neighbor switches during STP election. Okay. Let's continue looking this up. I know it's 13 because I seen this question before. And basically, no, let me just validate that one. It's actually 4, the cause, because this one is 1, 1, 1, 1. Refer to the network drawing where OSPF is enabled on all connected interface to Neighbors, what is the cost metric between R1 and SW1 based on the default OSPF reference bandwidth? That is 4 next. All right, boys and girls, it's been an exhausting exam. It's very long. So if you want to pause the recording and grab a snack, take a break, you are more than free to do it. Please do it, and you're welcome to take a break. Go get some coffee, get some tea, and then continue. I'm going to finish very soon because there is a couple of questions left, less than 10 questions, and we have 40 minutes to go. So we are against the clock right now. What client authentication method is supported with WPA2 Enterprise Brand Wireless Security? I'm going for AS, and I will validate that one. It's actually radius. I am behind the batches. So the radius is the correct choice. Let's analyze it again. What client authentication method is supported with Cisco WPA2 Enterprise Brand Wireless Security? That will be radius. Okay, where do we need to apply this? Refer to the exhibit. Where do you apply the following extended ACL? Remember, is different there when we're talking about extended. We're going to look it up and find the explanation for this one. I'm just going to do router to gigabit 001 interface for now. The 0 1 inbound interface for now. No, let's do gigabit 1 outbound interface. Let's look this one up. Let's look this one up. It's an access list denied TCP. Any equal 23, 100, and this is extended ACL. Let's see the explanation. The correct answer is gigabit 01 inbound, so it's actually this one. Let's see why. ACL do not filter traffic that originates from the network device. So basically we are applying the ACL here and from here to this network. And we need to apply it there in this gigabit. So that's basically what happened. So we have to be careful with those. This is the correct one. So let me correct that one. It's actually router 2, but is inbound because what we're doing is we are applying the ACL to this network. Basically, that's what we're doing here. ACL do not filter traffic that originates from a network device. It is only packets that are transit through the data plane and that have filtering applied. As a result, applying an ACL to the router 1 would not prevent telnet session. It would have to be applied inbound on router 2 interface gigabit 0/1. Let's move forward with the exam, and maybe in the next 20 years I'll be able to do. Let's continue with this one, and we got it now. Next. How does WPA2 PSK enable security for wireless clients? Let's go with the phrase and with the authentication device for now. Let me validate this. So the correct option is that it's basically the phrase create the same encryption key for all clients. That is one of the options. And the WPA2 enables device authentication. Those are the right ones. Okay, this is a JSON. JSON, there is an error. What is the error within the JSON record? Let's see if I'm able to identify the error. Maybe this comma over there. There's a comma after the switch one command. Let's validate this one just in case. The comma after the gigabit 11 value is actually this comma right there. So we need to correct that. That's a very tricky question. What statement accurately defined machine learning? What statement accurately defines machine learning? Just going to do this for now. I'm going to look it up. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. What a crazy definition. Okay. What is a Cisco security setting with a default configuration? I'm just going to guess this one for now, but I will look it up. It's actually CLI privilege level 15. CLI privilege level 15. That will be the Cisco security setting with that default configuration. What iOS command is required to disable DNS services on a Cisco device? Let's look this one up. Let's select this one for now. It's actually no IP domain lookup. No IP domain lookup. This is actually when you are typing a command and you type the incorrect parameter in order to stop the messages for the DNS services that are bothering in the router. You configure the no IP domain lookup command, and that will be a very useful command. What is the primary difference between the static and default routes? I'm just going to go with the static route has a higher administrative distance for now. I'm just going to look it up. I need to look it up. I don't know it by heart. Let's look it up. The static route includes the destination prefix. All right, nice. We now finally know. The static route includes the destination prefix. What is a valid OSPF number? A valid OSPF number, all of the options are valid OSPF numbers. I remember this one. What statement correctly describes switchboard operation BPU guard is enabled? Okay. What statement correctly describes switchboard operation after BPDU guard is enabled? Okay, let's go with the port bars is disabled for now, and let's look this one up. Let's try to understand it with explanation. It's actually the switchboard sends BPDU messages. Let's understand why. So basically the BPU guard is to prevent an unauthorized switch from connecting to the network after SDP topology. This is an SDP enhancement that is configured on the access edge ports, whether port fast is enabled or disabled. So in order to configure it, we will do spanning tree port fast, spanning tree BPU guard enable, spanning tree port fast BPU guard default, and then spanning tree interface gigabit 00 detail to validate it and show spanning tree summary. Also is another command to validate it. So as a result of this configuration, the host do not send BPU messages and ignore BPU messages sent from edge ports since they are not a switch. Then the BPU messages are sent to upstream switch. So they are between switches. They are sending BPU messages, but only between switches. And the switch port sends the BPU messages when BPU guard is enabled. Okay, this is another explanation for the JSON event. We saw this one before, this question. Look at that. It's actually explaining how the communication happens between the client, the authentications authorization server, and the web server. We send the post, we receive, it sends the token to the client with the JSON Web Token. It sends the JSON Web Token to the API call, and it authorizes and sends the post from the web server. That's basically what happens behind the scenes. And also at this moment this happened. The client sends the access token in our authorization header of the API call. The question was, what statement correctly described the JWT authentication for REST APIs? So with this explanation, we should be ending the exam for today. Let's see if we got the 100 or less points. Probably we got more than 95, hopefully, or 90. Let's see. Sometimes we always get errors because we are tired or we miss a question that is very similar. So let's see what score are we getting. We got a 95%, so we got a couple of error in questions. Let's see if we are able to validate the incorrect choices. So let's see the incorrect options. This one was, look at that. It was LLDP run. I selected enable. No LLDP transit, LLDP run, and no LLDP receive. That was the one for LLDP globally. How do you enable LLDP globally and disable per interface? I selected enable, and it was actually LLDP run. This one is the explanation there. This one actually was very similar. I selected it will preempt active, and it actually does not preempt the active router. What about this other one? It's actually the designated port changes to root inconsistent state, and the superior BPDU messages are received on root bridge designated port. This is actually 10. I selected 40 anyways. I had to select. We already analyzed that one and it was 10, but probably I forgot to select it. What about this one? You can see the VLANs there. We got about 10 different VLANs and 10 different broadcast domains. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're probably not seeing them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I only see 7. Maybe there is some information missing. You can actually see the 10 VLANs make up for the 10 broadcast domains. The CDP was the correct option, so I thought I got it correctly, but this one was incorrect. So what protocol is responsible for power negotiation between power PoE switch, port, and IP phone is actually CDP. I have to analyze this one better. That's pretty much the ones that we got incorrect. So, boys and girls, it's been a pleasure. It was a crazy exam, very, very exhausting and long. I hope you have learned something from this lesson. Please keep on practicing and learning. And we will see you. I will see you later in another class. Take care. Goodbye.